Hey everyone, welcome in. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene and I am with A Room to Bloom. So before we get started, I'd like to just chime in, if you will. I've got some chimes here to just kind of clear the energy as I record this. Sorry, it happens to be a Friday evening. So what I'd like to do is just kind of set a new tone, a fresh tone as we step into the weekend, as we settle into this energy that's going on. One thing I do want to say is when I first sat down here, it happens to be December 19th and it was 9:11 p.m. So we know, and actually now it's December 19th at 9:19 p.m. because I was trying to get some things settled. So nines represent things coming to an end. One is actually new beginnings. So seeing that, we know 911, if a person is going through something, it's a way to reach out for help, right? Calling 911. When we take that word emergency, if we slow it down and we say it slower, it is emerge and see, right? Emerge from whatever you are going through and see clearly what is right there before you, which is perfect for a quote that I have here today. So I'm going to go ahead and ring this. Just bear with me here. So we're going to ring. We'll go through a few times very gently. If you are feeling unsettled, these tones can kind of just help you to bring balance, to feel yourself kind of pull back in to your center. Okay. So I'm picking up on a lot of energies going on, moving around right now. It's kind of been going on, let's just say that, but definitely feeling movement in the energy. And so I decided here, this was a deck I was going to use the other day and didn't. So I'm going to go ahead with this now. It's called Oracle of the Energies, and it is by Colette Baron Reed. I've only used it a couple times, so chances are I will tap into this book. Let's see what comes up here that would be helpful for you on your journey wherever you are at today as you listen to this. Now, I do want to say something because I meant to only take one card, but I went too deep. And the one that was too deep is the storyteller. So here we have a quill, a key, an inkwell, and like a journal or a book, something to write in. So we're just, because I saw that first, we're going to start with that. And there are stars all around it. The next one we have here is a deep breath, if you can see that, right? So being called to, just like I rang those chimes, right? To settle into yourself. It, one, it asks us, what stories are we telling ourselves, and what stories do we tell others, right? I'm laughing at whatever that was up there. I'm not sure. Anyway, so let's see what else we have. All right, and we have Into Me I See. And so here we have an angel here with a star on her forehead, right? Number 8. I think we're just going to leave those 3 for right now. So let's go ahead to the storyteller here. And see what it says. The key concept is identity, positive self-definition, teaching others how to treat you through the stories you tell about who you are, right? So, speaking words of life over yourself, your situation. Do you know the story you tell others about who you are? You are a unique being with unique talents and a story unique to you and your experience. In fact, your destiny can be found in the way you weave together these threads of yourself in the world. If there's anything in your life you want to change, it's time to adjust the story that you tell about yourself. Perhaps you are too self deprecating or apologetic about how you shine, minimizing your power so others will accept you. Perhaps the way you voice your expectations diminishes your ability to succeed, or you are too willing to tolerate a less than supportive environment. It's easy to be in denial when it comes to others and their behavior towards you. Understand, however, that you teach people how to treat you through how you talk about yourself. Once you recognize that what story you're telling others about how to treat you, you can tell a different one, right? We can change. We can change everything moment to moment, right? So if we recognize, we become aware of the story we've been telling, we can shift that. What if you could connect to your true power as a co-creator of your reality? The story originates in your mind, how you think, your conditioning and past experiences, how you view the world, and what you expect to see in it. The truth is, you have everything you need to tell a new tale and to weave more blessings into the world as your unique contribution. In fact, practice speaking of your amazing success, your overflowing abundance, and all of the love that surrounds you. Soon, the outer world will tell the same story back to you, right? Because like energy attracts like energy. So it's like you're putting out this, and it's almost like a reverb, right? Putting out this energy, getting this reverb back. Okay, so let's go to 7 here, a deep breath. It really does take practice, though, to change your story. Think about if you run into someone, how you doing? And you tell them something, some complaint of some sort, right? You have to hear yourself, see yourself, understand yourself to realize what you're doing and to practice something new in order for that new, right, to come in. A deep breath. Key concepts is a genuine expectation of danger, projection of a threat without substance. It is about fight or flight mode, inability to focus, trusting in the universe as a way to release fear. Take a deep breath and trust. Fear is asking you for your attention and healing right now. You are operating from the position of fear. If you also see red flags, you might be headed toward genuine danger, perhaps repeating a lesson you do not need to learn again. You can honor this kind of fear by saying thank you and protect yourself by choosing another path. In this moment, you have all it takes to make this shift. If, on the other hand, the fear surrounds the idea of taking a risk, be mindful. Radical trust and accepting the discomfort of the new is called for as you move out of your comfort zone. Ask for courage to take a leap into the unknown and know that all will be well. But know that all will be well doesn't mean you have to come to expect. That you have come to expect. Stories from the past may be molding your expectations right now and causing fear-based or an unanticipated hurt. Don't isolate yourself or fall for the false idea that life is too painful and engaging with it should be avoided. How about loving the side of you that is afraid, acting out, and causing all this unnecessary commotion? You will never be happy if the small part of you controls your life, as it will if you allow it. However, remember to be gentle with yourself and others. Once you let go and relax into your life, everything looks brighter and friendlier. Today, choose love over fear. You'll be amazed when you do. So, really lovely message, right? The story. What story are you telling? Um, and, are you operating from fear based choices? Okay, and into me I see, which is so interesting, right? Because that is what we have to do in order to become self aware. So, the key concept here is intimacy, trust in another, dropping shields and rigid boundaries to allow connection, and willingness to be vulnerable, right? At certain precious moments, you're called into a deep and meaningful connection with the world or another person. A magical affinity arises with the kind of intimacy that in turn encourages a greater understanding of yourself. This relationship acts as a mirror, helping you to see your own patterns. What what it reflects about you can further your own personal evolution. Now is the time to take a risk by connecting with another. Can you see how far you've come? Can you see what is still active within you that needs to change or heal? You will discover more about who you are as you discover more about another. Even if you cannot possibly know what it's truly like to be in someone else's shoes, you can listen and learn. This is a magical gift being offered to you right now. This concept applies beyond romantic connection. Why do the dynamics of your closest friendships, work relationships, and family say about you? What do they say about you? Relationships are extraordinary opportunities for healing, and when predicted on honesty and caring, they have a great impact on how you contribute to the world. Intimate relationships hold up a mirror of truth, and they reveal more treasures than you might ever expect. If you can look into it, take a risk and see everything as beautiful, even if it's even in its imperfections. Imagine how deep you could go, right? So that definitely has, something to do with this deep breath and fear. What stories are you telling yourself? What stories are you telling others? Um, and right now you're being called to kind of take a leap to rebuild trust. Um, think about anytime someone goes into a new relationship, right? And maybe there was an experience or something in the past with a person or another person, and so their trust, they start to build walls up, right? And that can be tough, right? And so we're being called to say it's time to trust again, to change our story, to breathe deeply, to take the leap, right? All right, I don't know. Let's see. I've only used this deck a couple times too. It's called the Roots and Wings deck. Let's see what wants to come up here with this one. What can you tell us here about this storyteller? Having a breakthrough. That's awesome, right? Overcome obstacles and move beyond limitations, embracing new growth, right? So think about those words. Like if someone said, how are you doing? And if some of our people are even afraid to ask because they feel like it's going to be the same old story, can you have a breakthrough? And even speak those words. Well, I'm having a breakthrough. Things are coming together. Things are working out. I'm moving through and past this situation that I was in, right? And I'm hopeful and I'm, confident that it's all working out, right? Overcoming obstacles. And those are powerful words. I am overcoming obstacles and I move beyond the limitations. I'm embracing my new growth. Okay, under the deep breath, we have the light of life. Embrace your unique glow, however small, to light the way ahead, right? Take a deep breath and be that light of life. Even if you feel that your um, trust level was down or your flame wasn't, as bright as it has been in the past, right? Continue to embrace your unique glow. Very beautiful message. Okay, what else do we have as into me I see? Empathy. Understand others' emotions and needs by listening with your heart, right? Listening with your heart means choosing the love part and not the fear part, because the fear comes from our mind, but empathy comes from our heart. And so that's why it says choose love over fear. Okay. On the bottom of the deck, we have soulful presence. And there are words here in white. It says, connect with your inner self, live in the present, and stand firmly in your beliefs, right? This card would be representative of standing firmly in your beliefs, the Seven of Wands in Tarot. If others are kind of coming at you because of how you believe or how your life is, it's like it's okay to be who you are. Stand firm in your beliefs. Connect with your inner self. Okay, so I'm going to let that be. I'm going to move to a deck here called The Power of Intention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Let's see what wants to come up here. All right, what messages do you have here for the collective? They would be helpful to know. Be humble. Okay, and so in that storyteller, this is what this falls under. And the breakthrough, right? Be humble. So, the words that are coming to me is this idea of fake it till you make it, right? And if you're over faking it, right? I mean, it's one thing to have that breakthrough and say I'm pushing through, right? I'm overcoming obstacles. But I can still be humble in those words, right? Don't allow the approval and the attention of others to destroy you. Remain humble and grateful for all of your accomplishments, and know that a force greater than your ego is always at work in your life. Be humble. This is like humble pie here, right? Okay, what else do we have here under a deep breath and the light of life? Practice unbending intent. When you practice unbending intent, you match up with the intent of the all-creative universal mind. So keep a solid picture of the task you want to accomplish. Kind of interesting, right? How like when I move these cards, it will disappear. Keep a solid picture of the task you want to accomplish in your mind, and refuse to let that intention disappear, right? So the intention here under a deep breath could be I'm practicing trust again, right? At the same time, you can use discernment, but it is a practice. It is a practice. And so this is something that keeps time when someone's playing instruments, right? And so like when they're practicing their instruments to keep to the pace of the music. Okay, what temple? Pardon me. All right, so what else do we have? Under into me, I see an empathy. We have let go of your need to have more. So we have a vice grip here. Love or fear. When you stop needing more of everything, more of what you desire seems to arrive in your life. Since you're detached from the need for it, you find it easier to pass it along to others because you realize how little you need in order to be satisfied and at peace, right? That really is like asks us to look at ourselves, not others, right? Just ourselves. And because when we work on ourselves, then like the other things start to reflect that back to us, right? Just like the storyteller thing. And so, um, like I've done this in my life, right? What do we, uh, it could be collections, it could be just things that you really enjoy and you end up getting a lot of them or a lot of everything, right? And so since you detach from your need, you find it easier to pass it along to others. What always comes to me with words like this is it's interesting. The word possessions, right? Things that we have. But the idea of not letting our possessions possess us. So there's true freedom in that when we are not as attached to everything. Okay. And by the way, that falls under empathy. Understand others' emotions and needs by listening with your heart. I believe that, um, again, this is also, it takes awareness, it takes self awareness to start asking oneself, like if you're shopping or doing whatever you're doing, if you ask yourself, am I am I in this situation? Do I, like here it says, when you stop needing more of everything, like how do you trust the universe? Do you trust source to provide for you, right? um, that all of your needs will be met and that you kind of travel lighter, if you will. And so that's the message. I'm gonna, because I set this deck down and I looked at this, I will show it. It says honor your body temple. And it says you've been provided with the perfect body to house your soul for a few brief moments in eternity. So regardless of its size, its shape, its color, or any imagined infirmities, you can honor the temple that houses you by eating healthfully, exercising, and listening to your body's needs, treating it with dignity and love, right? Again, that's really just tapping into the self, honoring yourself. Again, as I record this, it happens to be a Friday. Maybe you've had a really busy week. Maybe you're tired. And it's like, we are coming up on Christmas, will be here next week. So a lot of people push themselves. They're doing all these things because they feel like they need to, should, trying to keep up with whatever, but they're tired. Doesn't mean that they don't want to do these things, but your body is really important to take care of in that way, to honor when it's tired, give it rest. Have you ever had cravings for food? Like let's say you were kind of eating just random things, right? Not big meals or kind of quicker things. Have you ever had it's like you just felt like a need for say foods that come from the ground, like potatoes or something like that, right? So your body kind of speaks to you in that way as to what it needs. And so you're being called to honor your body and to also listen to your body. Before I go any further, I wanted to read this quote from the Daily Book of Positive Quotations that I mentioned in the beginning. And this one, hold on a second. This is not what I wanted to read. I'm just going to let it be for right now because it really doesn't have to do with this reading. Must have been a different book. Okay, so the next book we're going to use, it's called Sacred Geometry of Relationships. And this doesn't have to be like just partnership relationships. It's in general, right? So what messages do you want to bring forth here for the collective today? These images are beautiful. I've only used this deck a couple times, so let's see what comes up. The images and the colors are beautiful. Okay, so the first one is kindness. The energy of kindness reminds us to be considerate and wise in our interactions with others and ourselves, right? Being kind to ourselves and to find the root of our love through our connection to Source, right? Again, what story are we telling ourselves? Are we living in love or fear, operating out of love or fear, right? The other thing I do want to mention is being aware of what you are listening to. Do people stir up stories that are fear-based stories, right? And if you become aware of it, you can simply, it's kind of like turn off the channel, right? If it's like a television, turn off the channel and walk away and read something uplifting, listen to uplifting music, write, create, express yourself, like exercise, create, make a healthy meal, whatever that is. Okay, the next one we have under a deep breath. Freedom. Yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? The energy of freedom supports our senses of limitless possibility and potential, boundless expression, and bold exploration, right? There is a freedom in taking a deep breath and just stepping out of fear-based mentality, right? Be the light of life. Practice unbending intent. And that intent might be, does this experience, do I feel free? Do I feel like myself? Do I feel in soul alignment with myself in this experience? Okay, the next one that we have here under Into Me, I See, we have joy. This card is so beautiful. I saw it as I was shuffling. It says the energy of joy activates our feelings of happiness and well-being, and it supports a high vibrational frequency in our being, right? Let go of your need to have more. And here's that card with joy. Look at those colors. They're just beautiful, right? And that design is spectacular, right? Into Me, I See. Having empathy. Understand others' emotions and needs by listening with your heart. Step into your joy center, right? Okay, on the bottom of the deck, we have the fifth chakra, which speaks of the throat chakra, represented by the color blue. The energy of the throat chakra supports our ability to communicate clearly and truthfully, right? So clearly and truthfully without taking away another's voice, right? Over speaking someone. And so being aware of that, but also the ability to say what is on our mind from or what's in our heart, right? Truthfully and clearly, to learn how to be able to do that. We also, it's an opportunity also to recognize in certain dynamics without judgment, right? Is there someone or situations or wherever you might go to certain places, whatever it is, where you go and, you know, sometimes you feel like maybe you can't get a word in edgewise. That could be one thing. So that if you have a group of people that's with, or if you're with one person and you find that your listening skills get sharper because as you try to speak, you're not really given an opportunity to. So again, without judgment, but it's learning how to understand this situation. That person may have an overactive throat chakra. They may be operating out of fear to be their most vulnerable self, right? Um, and then, but are you sitting with an underactive throat chakra where there is something that you'd like to say, um, but aren't standing up for yourself in order to express yourself also because your voice has value. So just finding balance in that and having awareness of certain situations. Okay. Because I saw this, I'm going to go one more here. So we have the seventh chakra. It is the crown chakra. It is represented by violet. Okay. And it says the energy of the crown chakra supports our feeling of being connected to a higher power and part of the larger whole, that we are all connected. And if we look at this image very closely, it's the same image as the uh, throat chakra. But if you look at it closely, it's like cell division, right? One cell divides into more, divides into more, divides into more, right? And it's like we're all connected, right? And so we are part of the larger whole of God. Okay, and so I think that with that, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this up. I have a different deck, but I'm hold off on that. I want to say thanks for joining me. I hope that you have an amazing rest of the day. Thanks.